yet. Marcus had spent months treating me like a second-class parent while I supported his family in ways he didn't even know about. Maybe he needed more time to really understand the situation. Over the weekend, Jessica sent photos of Marcus looking miserable. Apparently, he'd been moping around the house and barely speaking to David. The revelation that his stepfather wouldn't help with rent while his father quietly paid it had shifted his perspective considerably. Monday morning, Marcus called before school. His voice was shaky, and he sounded like he'd been crying. He said he felt horrible about what he'd said and that he'd had no idea I was still helping them with money. He begged me to forgive him and said he understood now why his words were so hurtful. This time, the apology felt genuine. Marcus wasn't just trying to get his car back, he was actually processing the reality that his upgraded family still depended on support from his downgraded father. The irony wasn't lost on him. I told Marcus I appreciated the apology but that rebuilding trust would take time. He'd spent months making me feel inferior while I was supporting his family behind the scenes. That kind of damage couldn't be fixed with one conversation. Marcus asked what he could do to make things right. I told him to start by treating our relationship with more respect and ending the constant David comparisons. If he wanted my support to continue, he needed to show genuine appreciation instead of an entitled attitude. That evening, David called me directly. He'd apparently heard about the rent situation from Jessica and wanted to discuss taking over the payments. I told him that would be fine with me but that the damage to my relationship with Marcus had already been done. David tried explaining that he thought Jessica should handle her own previous obligations and hadn't realized it would create family drama. I told him that his financial decisions were his business but he shouldn't be surprised when other people stepped in to help family members he was unwilling to support. 2 weeks later, Marcus had maintained respectful behavior consistently. He stopped making David comparisons and started expressing actual gratitude for things I provided. I decided to return his car keys but warned him that future disrespect would have similar consequences. The rent situation got resolved when David finally agreed to take over the payments after Jessica threatened to move out. Apparently, losing Marcus's respect had made David realize he needed to step up financially or risk his marriage falling apart. Marcus and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship. He's much more appreciative now and has stopped treating David like some perfect father figure while dismissing me as inadequate. Learning that his upgraded family still needed support from his original father was a wake-up call he apparently needed. The whole experience taught Marcus that family relationships aren't about who has the most money or the nicest lifestyle. Sometimes the people who quietly support you behind the scenes are more valuable than the ones who make flashy gestures for attention. Jessica appreciated that I'd been helping with rent but was embarrassed that Marcus had learned about it in such a dramatic way. She's been more careful about encouraging his David worship and has started acknowledging my contributions more openly. David has been much quieter about his lifestyle lately. Having a teenager lose respect for you because you won't help with basic family expenses apparently isn't good for the ego. He's been trying harder to connect with Marcus through activities rather than just material displays. Looking back, I'm glad Marcus learned this lesson while he's still young enough to change his attitude. He was heading down a path of entitlement and disrespect that would have damaged our relationship permanently. Sometimes losing privileges is the only way kids understand how much they actually depend on their parents. The upgrade comment still stings when I think about it, but Marcus has worked hard to rebuild my trust. He understands now that support comes in many forms and that the flashiest provider isn't always the most reliable one. That's a lesson that will serve him well throughout his life.